had 750 million users worldwide. The growth has skyrocketed, as Jonathan just talked about. And you know, one of the things that we feel inside the company is that it's everywhere. For us, we're immersed in it, but every time I go to a restaurant or I go to a bar, it's very rare that I don't hear somebody at the table next to me or at the seat next to me talking about Facebook. And people aren't just talking about it, they're checking in, they're uploading photos, they're commenting on their friend's status. And I think it's this that I want to help you foreigners today and let you know how you can get involved in Facebook as a business or even as an individual. So as I said, people aren't just looking on Facebook, they're actually sharing and they're interacting. And these interactions we saw double over the course of 2010, and they're still growing. And when we say interactions, it's everything from liking a page, to liking a comment, to doing a status update, to sharing a photo, or sharing an opinion about businesses and services that are on Facebook. In fact, people are going to Facebook to find out this information from their friends more and more. And as such, we find that Facebook has become one of the top sources of referral traffic for the top 10 websites worldwide. What this means is that when people go to Facebook, they're not looking for specific information such as what time's my flight at or what's the weather going to be in Dublin tomorrow. Instead, they're going on to have a conversation with their friends. And as such, when you go on Facebook, you're basically turning around to your friends and saying, how are you? And you're letting them respond in absolutely any way they choose. As a business, it's really important that we help you get involved in those conversations. Traditionally, businesses have always had one-way directional conversations, or not conversations, just sending information out one way. And what Facebook does, it allows you to have a proper conversation where it's a two-way thing. People are online, talking, sharing, and you can get in the middle of that. Let me explain a bit more about how it works as a business for you to get into a conversation. If I'm on Facebook and I like something, it appears in my newsfeed. All my friends see that on my newsfeed, and they see that I like it. If they like it too, especially because it comes as a recommendation from me, then it appears in their newsfeed, and so all of their friends see it too. This is word-of-mouth marketing at scale. As such, there's some companies that are really transforming around this. Inside, we call it Social by Design, the title of this presentation, because it's really important that you're not just using Facebook as another advertising forum. It's much more of engaging in a conversation. Some companies that have done this really well, and some of my favorites, are in the retail world. So Amazon is just a fantastic example of how they've integrated with Facebook. Whenever I go on to Amazon now, and I log in through my Facebook profile, I don't just get to see random recommendations from strangers who might have bought the same product that I bought. Instead, I see the recommendations from my friends. I see what my friends have looked at. I see what they've liked. I see what they've bought. I also see which of my family and friends have birthdays coming up and what they've looked at and what they like. And so it starts to become a much more engaging social experience. Groupon has helped over 35 million people save $1.5 billion worldwide by helping people shop in a social way. Groupon offers discounts that only happen if more than one person buys them. And as such, they've developed a whole industry that's social by design. I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen this car before. It's quite a famous car because it's one of the cars from Gran Turismo 5. The detail is amazing. Even the wing mirrors, the reflection in the wing mirrors change as you drive around the course. The detail and the shadows of the car are just absolutely phenomenal. And when I first looked at this, I was sure it was a photograph rather than a still from a game. When you compare that to this is Cityville, and there's no comparison in terms of graphics. Cityville had over 100 million users sign up in the first 43 days. And yet its graphics aren't phenomenal. Its graphics are less like Gran Turismo 5 and much more like Mario Kart in the 1980s. So what's the secret of Cityville's success? Well, it's along the bottom here. It's your friends playing it at the same time you are. And it's that ability of the Zynga, the makers of Cityville, have harnessed to become social by design. But it's not just companies that have risen up around the social network. It's companies who have embraced it, like Amazon did. Microsoft reported 242% growth in their home and entertainment devices area last year. And when asked by a journalist what they attributed the growth to, it wasn't about the graphics or games like Halo being released. They said it was the growth was all in Xbox Live. For any of you who aren't a gamer, Xbox Live is the interaction of Xbox games but with Facebook and Twitter integrations. And it's that ability for people to play games with their friends that have seen Microsoft's profits soar. So what does that mean for you as a business? You're not in gaming, or you might be, but there's a lot of different businesses that can also embrace Facebook. One of my favourite examples is actually the royal family. I'm not sure how many of you watched the royal wedding earlier this year. I know I did. But most people who watched it were also commenting and sharing status updates. The royal family actually got an app created called Royal Wedding Stories. And what they did was they allowed people to share their stories about the royal wedding through this app. More than 20,000 stories were generated by people in over 30 countries in the week after the royal wedding. And as you can see, 6.8 million status updates were written during the wedding itself. And so it's the royal family and the monarchy's ability to embrace social networking that has really helped them enjoy the popularity that they can on Facebook. And it's not just a monarchy, it's many different businesses. Andy Fennell, the CMO of Diageo, gave an analogy which to me resonated really well with how Facebook changes how you look at marketing online. Traditional marketers online, it was a bit like attending a bowling alley. You lined up your pins or your audience, and you repeatedly throw balls down the alley in the hope that you'll bowl some of them over. With Facebook, it's much more like a pinball machine. You trigger a ball, and it knocks off your audience. Each audience that interacts with your brand or product, it's like starting a whole new conversation, and your ball, your message is part of that, and it changes and it grows in momentum as the conversation continues. And as a marketer, you can get involved in that. So let me show you a bit about how you can get involved. This is a Facebook ad, which you may have seen if you're a user on Facebook. It's a standard ad that can run on the home page or any of the other pages of our network. With this ad, you can reach any of the 750 million people that use Facebook. However, this ad is much more powerful. It's exactly the same creative, only this time it's got some friends on it. So it's basically like me saying, I like a product or service, or I like this ad. We've worked with Nielsen to find out what this actually means and what difference does it make if you have your friend liking an ad. We've seen that the impact is that you're four times more likely to purchase a product or service if there's social context on the ad. Product recall also increases by 100%. This is pretty amazing stuff. So let me show you how it works. Basically, if you have a page, and if you don't have a page, I'll talk a bit about that in a minute. But if you have a page, you have a fan base. And say, for example, your fan base was 500,000 users. If you target those users, and they like your ad, all their friends will see it. So instead of it just being a generic standard ad, it's an ad that comes with a personal recommendation from one of your fans to their friends. On average, each user on Facebook has 130 friends. So every time you can get one of your fans to like or comment on something you do on Facebook, 130 of their friends get to see a personal recommendation. That's amazing. That's word of mouth marketing at scale, like we've never had before. So how do you get started? If you don't have a page, or you do, the first thing to do is to use your page. If you don't have one, set one up and build a fan base. If you do have one, let's make sure it's a really good one. And we'll give you some tips. The second thing is to engage with your customers. A page isn't like a website. You can't set it up and then forget about it. It's dynamic and you need to be engaging on it. And then finally, amplify your message so you can get more fans. And the more fans you get, the more opportunity you have to target their friends, and then you get a much more powerful message. And you also get the chance to have 4 times more purchases or a greater product recall. So, build a page. For me, a page is exactly the same as your user profile. What does this stand for? What's your business logo? And make sure your fans are your consumers or your potential consumers. The page doesn't have to be creative, but it helps. But it really does have to be engaging. Some of the key things that make a page engaging are that you publish regularly. We often recommend that you set up a calendar. So for example, if you're in the retail sector and Christmas is a key time for you, it's really important that you're engaging with your customers and starting to build momentum and have those conversations starting actually about now. If you're releasing a game in the gaming industry, or you're releasing a movie in the film industry, or you've got a new product releasing or a new service, it's up to you to figure out how far in advance do you want to start sowing the seeds? How much excitement do you want to build up amongst your potential customers and your fan base? Ways that engage your fans are often asking questions, running polls, making sure that you're joining in the conversation when your fans are commenting on your page. Don't sit back and be passive, join in the conversation. And then finally, amplify. The more friends you get, the more access you have to their friends, and so it's really important that you continue to build your fan base. You can run ads, like standard ads with social context, as I just talked about, or you can run a new thing called sponsored stories. So let me talk a bit about what sponsored stories is, because we feel this is the true way to harness word of mouth. Basically, whenever you like a product or service or you comment on somebody's page, it appears in your newsfeed. Your newsfeed tends to be pretty busy, and I know we've just launched changes in the past couple of days in your newsfeed to try and bring more relevant stories up to the top. But it's still a busy forum, and as a business, you might not know which of your fans, 130 friends, have seen that your fan liked your product or service. What Sponsored Stories does is it enables you to pull it out of the newsfeed and have it in the ad unit on the right-hand side and guarantee that every single one of your friends, your fans' friends, are seeing that your fan liked your product or liked your status update or liked your app. So let me explain a bit more about how it works. So if I like something on Facebook, it appears in my newsfeed. A sponsored story says, okay, Gail likes, I'm using an example here of Baby Jogger. It's a pram manufacturer. I've recently had a baby, and so prams are very important to me. And so when I saw that my pram had a page, I liked it, and it appeared in my friends' newsfeeds. Some of my friends saw it, but not all. If Baby Jogger had ran a sponsored story, every single one of my friends would have seen it. So let me show you the impact of that. I like Baby Jogger. Personal recommendation from me to all my friends that Baby Jogger is a really good makeup pram. It appears in all my friends' newsfeeds that they may or may not see, but they will definitely see it as a sponsored story in the right-hand side. Most of my friends are around the same age as me, and they're having babies or thinking about having babies, and so this is a really relevant targeted ad with a personal recommendation. So they may like it too. And if they like it, then it appears in all of their friends' newsfeeds as a personal recommendation from them saying, I really like this pram too. This is amazing. This can be applied to absolutely any product or service that has consumers. So what we're seeing is that companies that are social by design are organized around people. They've always put their consumers or their users first. And whenever you do this, it creates whole new opportunities, as we saw with Zynga. Businesses are really transforming how they relate to people, and companies that are putting people at the center are seeing huge success. People that are recognizing this shift that's moving from the wisdom of crowds to the wisdom of friends are the ones that are ahead and gaining real strategic advantage. Within Facebook, we often say that our journey is only 1% finished. I wonder where you are in yours.
I could have just kept on going with you. There's a lot of good stuff. I certainly won't ask you, so what's the real valuation? That's a stupid question. But one issue that I have with a number of my clients that want to have a Facebook tab, or they want to have something that's all created. There's a vendor that's hired to build this thing, and then it's there and it's working, and then it's broken because something changed. is there a solution that's being worked on to make it so that it's more dynamic? And in terms of if you're doing the tab to a certain dimension, changes don't affect that? Because I'm sorry, let me take a step back. There is the opportunity when you're doing a Facebook page, you don't have, it's not an ad sales proposition. You're just going and you're building. And certainly when you're doing a tab, it's the same situation. And so that when some people say, well, I'm not even going to do ad sales, that's what they do. On the other hand, that piece you just showed there with the sponsored thing on the right side is a beautiful solution to the fact that not everybody's looking at their wall 24/7 to see that piece there. So to have it there is great. Now back to the issue of the tab. Is there anything being worked on to help protect the work that's being put into building those tabs, or?
So one of the things to say is that we're always evolving as a platform, and for us that's really important. That's why we say we're only 1% finished, because we just believe there's so much opportunity out there, and our product needs to grow so much more as the industry grows around it. So I can't promise that we'll slow down in terms of how often we change, but you know, tonight, or this morning in California time, but tonight we have our F8 Developer Conference, which is where we launch a lot of or announce a lot of our product launches that are coming in the future. And many of those hopefully will address some of the concerns that you're raising, because we want to protect the work that people have done, but we don't want to stand still either. And so we're constantly trying to build as flexible and evolving platform as possible. So watch your newsfeed tonight.
Cool. Questions? We have one right up here.
Hi, my name.
Let's wait for the microphone. Sure.
Hi, my name is Amber Hamid from Intermarket Way in London. I just want to ask you, as you know, you've just recently changed your news feeds, and there's loads of kerfuffle going on. I've been seeing lots of people complaining left and right, and also I did have a look at the Facebook page, and you know, and I saw loads of comments about that. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, do you read all those comments? Do you just like say, oh, I don't really care, and they'll get used to it sooner or later? What are your thoughts on that? Thanks.
Thank you. We constantly read and respond to our user feedback. I mean, bring back to people who use our platform to tell us what they think about us is fantastic. And as we recommend other people to do, we join in that conversation. So before we make changes, sometimes we'll have focus groups, sometimes we'll have super users that help give us feedback. And other times it's just putting stuff out there, seeing what people are saying, taking that feedback on board and building it into future releases. So I'm not sure that we'd ever reverse something, but we certainly take on board the feedback and build it into future releases.
Okay, thank you.
Back here? I can't say because the light has something.
Hello? Sorry, what's the average click-through rate for the sponsored stories?
The average click-through rate? I don't know, because it's quite a new product, so we haven't released any stats. We have seen that because it's got that social context that I talked about, it's in line with ads with friends in terms of purchase intent and product recall. But click-through rate is just one of the many metrics that you can use to measure success in Facebook. So, I don't have any, for any ads, I don't have any key stats.
Over on this side.
Hi, I run a dating website, and if one of my members likes my dating website, then that comes up in their newsfeed, and their friends go and visit the site and like their profile and their 5-year-old out-of-date photo and their interest in museums and art galleries, which is non-existent. I wondered if you had any tips for promoting services which people don't actually want to share with their friends.
Thank you. I think dating is a really difficult thing, because dating is inherently social. Like, you don't do dating on your own. You do it with people. But yet it's also a very, very private thing. And quite often, people want to share their dating experiences with their friends, but not the person that they're dating. So I think there is ways to create stories around dating that don't embarrass people and certainly don't divulge any personally identifiable information. But I think it's going to take a bit of creativity and and potentially the use of some apps and some things that we can do to make it.
Hi there. Really looking forward to F8 and seeing. Have you got any predictions?
Oh, I wish. No, I mean, we're really excited internally about it, but we've kept the developers and the engineers have kept it very close to their chest. But I think actually it's about to start in 5 minutes, so we'll start to see some of the stuff on our news feed. But I know there's so much excitement about it inside that I think it's going to be good.
Here.
From the BBC, I have a question. You know the new subscribe button? It allows people to follow fan pages without liking the page, and this has implications for marketers who use like button before. What do you advise regarding this shift?
So thank you. The subscribe button is aimed at following people, not businesses and not companies. So, and I think that's the difference. If you're a company or you're a business, you should still be running a page and you should still be looking for people to like your page and engaging customers. If you're Britney Spears or President Obama, rather than having a page, you probably want to have a page that people subscribe to. And that's certainly the difference that we see internally.
Right here in front.
I don't know if you have any statistics regarding the conversion rate between the click and the like button.
Sorry, what do you mean? If somebody likes an ad? Or
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you launch a campaign, you launch it on a click basis. So what is the percentage of the like to become a fan? Is there any statistics?
So I think most of the time whenever you like an ad, you also go to the page to see what it is you're actually liking rather than just the ad. So I haven't seen any stats internally, but my gut feel would be that they must be very highly correlated. I know most of the time if I like an ad, I always go to see what the page is and what else is on there. So, and sometimes it's the same thing. So.
Right behind you.
Hi, I think this is a completely different question. What do you think about the impact on productivity of users in companies? Because they spend all day long in Facebook. I have my point of view. I just want to hear your point of view.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question properly.
People now in companies spend 50% of the time in Facebook doing likes and talking with friends, doing their jobs. I have my point of view about this, but I just want to hear what's your opinion.
Is it just France or?
Sorry?
Did you say France?
No, I'm talking about employees that spend all of the day in their companies on Facebook, not working, talking about movies, music, I don't know.
So my view is that people are going to Facebook to interact with their friends and family and companies and famous people. And they're going to do it, whether they do it on their phone or they do it on their laptop. People are doing it more and more. On average, we're seeing that a user will create up to 90 pieces of content a month. So whether or not you're allowed to do it in work, you can't stop people doing it on their mobile. So if people are going to do it, you should embrace it rather than push it underground. But I don't think this is unique to Facebook. I think it's every company that has an online presence also has an app and therefore also is easily accessible, irrespective of what companies do to try and stop it. So
I would also say
embrace it.
every company wishes that people spend 50% of their time on their site or interacting with their company.
Right, exactly.
From a consumer perspective.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, over here in front.
Have you saw a lot of impact from Google Plus coming online?
Personally, no, I haven't, but I'm not signed up, so.
I have a final question.
Okay, we have a couple. We have one back there.
What topics do you find people are most interested in engaging with? Because a lot of people talk about food as being one of the main sort of social topics to engage with. What are the top areas that people engage with socially?
I don't know the latest stats, but I think it tends to be very topical. So, and any day it can change in terms of, you know, the pages with the most fans or the topics that people are talking about. And we don't often publish what people are talking about because it's private and you know, they might not have given us permission to share. But I think what we're finding is that Facebook's becoming all pervasive. So people are talking about absolutely anything. And the new settings that we launched back in August have meant it's easier to know who you're sharing information with whenever you're sharing it. And so we've seen that really increase the number of interactions that people are having. So people are sharing more and more photographs because they know exactly who they're sharing it with now. So as for topics, I don't know the answer, but I know that the latest settings around sharing have enabled people to share even more than they did before, but they've just got more control around who they do it. But you know, it's community pages are the pages for people that aren't a brand or a business, but they're just an interest or a hobby. And you know, one of my favourite ones that was ever set up was whenever Ireland got thrown out of the World Cup because Thierry Henry did a handball. That was one of the fastest growing pages ever, with over 175,000 fans in less than 16 hours. So I think that's just the dynamism of Facebook, is that any topic can become hot and topical in any short period of time.
Hi, Ed. Is that on?
Yeah.
Hi, I just want to ask you in terms of Facebook advertising. As you know, a lot of Facebook advertisers tend to advertise directly to their website, and some of them actually put the ad towards their fan page. So which one would you recommend? Is it the fan page or the website? And I think some advertisers said to me that the advertising towards the fan page is much cheaper than sending the traffic over to the website. Can you just maybe briefly describe that? Thanks.
So I think the answer is it depends on your website. If your website has integration with Facebook, such as Amazon, for example, it tends to not matter because your friends are online wherever you go. So as I talked about, the ads with friends are so much more powerful than an ad without a friend. So if you're targeting an ad to a website that doesn't have Facebook integration, you lose the ability to have those ads with friends. So if you want wide reach, it doesn't really matter. But if you actually want interactions and purchase intent and conversions, then it's much more powerful to run your ad to something that is integrated with Facebook, whether it's a page or whether it's a like button on your website or lots of like buttons on your website for specific products. If it's got that Facebook integration, you'll have more success than if it doesn't.
Okay.
When you position it as an ad without a friend, it's so sad. Nobody wants an ad without a friend.
I know that.
Last question? Anyone? Right here? Congratulations, you win 50 Facebook credits.
I read that the growth of Facebook was in industrialized countries more amongst the over 50-year-old. What kind of change of behaviour, what are you expecting to see in terms of change of behaviour once Facebook users knowing that their parents or their bosses are online?
Okay, so this isn't actually a new phenomenon. You know, we saw in the US about 3 years ago, it was over 50s was the fastest growing demographic. But that doesn't mean to say that other demographics aren't growing as well. And so people use Facebook as one of the ways to interact with their parents or their families as well. So I know I'm guilty of sharing an awful lot of baby photos with my family on Facebook. But it's the privacy settings and the ability for people to choose who they share what with that makes it okay that your parents are on Facebook, because they don't necessarily have to see the photos of you out on Saturday night. So yeah, but we certainly haven't seen a decline in users, and in terms of behavior, people are sharing more rather than less.
And in Russia, the predominant amount of people are signing up are above 50.
Yeah.
Like a flip phenomenon there, right?
Yeah, I don't actually know many stats about Russia. It's one of our developing markets that it's a hard nut to crack.
Right. Okay. Everybody, thank you very much. Gail, thank you.